You can imagine how fast it is happening and how many times mistakes can be made. So, the interesting part is the fertilization takes place not in the womb, but in the fallopian tube through which the ovum is traveling. And by the time the zygote is implanted in the womb, there are 200 cells. How did they divide? What is the signal for them to divide? It is not connected to anything. It is traveling and dividing. And the important thing is each one of these cells become the mother cell or the stem cell assigned to produce a system or an organ. So that's the significance of those cells being produced even before it is implanted in the womb. Every activity in the cell is controlled by a gene. And we have two copies of the same gene, one from the father, one from the mother. And one set of gene is in charge of cell division. The other set of gene tells the cell to stop division. So that is the controlling part. When that goes bad, that is when you have uncontrolled cell division. If one set of gene, for example, you inherit a breast cancer gene, that doesn't mean you should have cancer the moment you are born, because the other gene will take over. But what happens if both the genes controlling the same activity gets damaged, then you have uncontrolled cell multiplication. And this is the importance of mutation. So gene mutations can happen because you inherit them, or chemicals, toxins, radiation, infection, indigestible materials such as asbestos, or most importantly, errors during normal cell division. Now, in addition, some of the stem cells that I mentioned earlier could become dysfunctional, and they are called a cancer cell in waiting because they have the capability to divide. And if they are dysfunctional, then they may not respond to a signal to stop the cell division. So it could be a developmental defect leading to a defective mitochondria, which is the power generation facility in the cell. Or it is a displacement. It is an orphan cell in another part of the body, not able to respond to the signals coming in. Or it could be due to gene mutations, as I mentioned earlier. Now, when a cancer stem cell is in waiting, anything that triggers the mutation, the same elements can also trigger the cancer stem cell to uncontrolled cell multiplication. Nature, however, is very aware of this thing happening, and nature has put in anti-cancer mechanisms in every one of us. For example, starting with the earliest cell on the earth, they had mechanisms to repair any genetic mutation. And modern humans have the apoptosis, which is the mechanism to self-destruct, or immune system that can kill an uncontrolled division or stop the division of a cancer cell. So the most important evidence for this is we have the most number of precancerous cells in the body when we are in the mother's womb, in the fetal stage. But almost 99% of them are destroyed by our own immune system. So why is the cancer increasing worldwide compared to 2012, 2030? The important thing is 60% of the new cancer cases are in Africa, Asia, Central and South America. Why? In my opinion, the real cause is grains. The total global production of grains has gone up more than 3 times while the population increased. And this increase in the production and consumption of grains parallels the increased rise in obesity, diabetes, and cancer worldwide. That's my opinion. Okay? Why do I say that? Because grains and grain flour foods, when they are digested, produce enormous amounts of glucose. And the glucose is the driving force of cancer cell multiplication. Why? Because cancer cells can get any cell to divide, it needs three things. One is materials for construction of a new cell, energy source, and then a promoter. And glucose provides not only the energy, but also the construction materials for new cells. And elevation of blood glucose stimulates the pancreas to release insulin. Insulin is a growth promoter, including growth of cancer cells. So if you are a diabetic, you have a double problem, increased blood glucose as well as increased insulin. So cancer happens on the one hand, the body has mechanisms to destroy cancer cells, but on the other hand, if they multiply faster than the body's capability to destroy them, then you have cancer. So why can we eliminate cancer completely? Probably not, because anytime a cell divides, it has the potential to produce cancer or uncontrolled, unless our immune system can detect it and destroy it. So, what I'm suggesting is we can control cancer by halting the spread, by slowing down the growth, uh, and this one will prolong the lifespan of the person and improve the quality of life with people by containment of cancer rather than elimination or cure. Cure in the sense in bacterial infection, when the bacteria are completely eliminated, it is called cure. In cancer, it is a continuous formation. Every 10 years, every one of us will have a cancer cell, but our immune system can take care of it. So my suggestions are these. One, restrict glucose by cutting intake of all grain and grain flour products to 1/2 of the amount that you are consuming. Because 100 years ago, the percentage of energy from complex carbohydrate in our diet was less than 35%. Now it is 50 to 70%. Yes, the cheapest food, the most convenient foods, prepackaged foods are all made mostly with grain flour products. Think about it. When is the last time you had a meal or a snack without a grain flour product? Second, eat a variety of vegetables, fruits, nuts, spices, herbs, and mushrooms. We need over 100 different nutrients for a healthy immune system. Third, daily exercise, meditation, relaxation, intellectual stimulation, entertainment, these are all necessary to keep your body and mind active and healthy. So I have two books on cancer. One is Surviving Cancer. The other is When a Child Gets Cancer. That book came about because somebody asked me, ordinarily an adult develops cancer after 60 years of accumulation of mutations. Then how can a 6-year-old child develop cancer? My answer to that is contained in this book, When Your Child Develops Cancer. So I will stop here and then answer any questions that you may have.
If you can stop the sharing and come back to us, Dr. John.
Okay.
Any questions for Dr. John? That was a beautiful presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. John. Yeah, I like these new slides that you're producing. They look really great.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
wanted to comment on the grains. Just ask a question. There's no doubt that sugar is an issue in unhealthy diets. One of the first things you always cut is sugar, and obviously grains, as they digest, they generate sugar into the body. And what about non-gluten types of substitutes for grains? They produce less cancer?
Can you specify what are you referring to? Quinoa and that kind of grains?
Yeah, quinoa, things that are not that are gluten free. Keen was a great one to start with, but in the sense that I do appreciate the logic, and I've spent enough time in healthcare listening to medical doctors that I totally understand what you're saying, but I never asked that question. So true about glucose. Want to know about.
Right. Mr. Peters, let me first clarify one point. You mentioned table sugar. The first thing any diabetics will do is avoid sugar. That means, that implies there's a connection between use of normal sugar and diabetes. There is no such connection. There is no such connection. That is a myth created because of word association. Blood sugar is blood glucose. Table sugar is sucrose. That's a completely different chemical formula.
Yeah.
It is.
No, we're drifting in another direction. Perhaps I didn't ask it to you correctly.
I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Okay, Ken, I have to interrupt because we've got so many speakers. Can we take that into the chat, and Dr. John, try and answer those questions? I will bring you back, both of you, in a few minutes. So our next speaker is Shelley Walsh. And Shelley, I've been dying to hear about this ALPAC. And I'm so glad that you're in North Carolina, because we are opening up our events very soon to live events. And hopefully we'll get to see you in person. So so please tell us all about this amazing farm that you have.
Sure. Thank you so much for the invite. My name is Shelley Walsh, and I'm the co-owner, along with my husband, of Good Karma Ranch Alpacas. And we are in North Carolina. We're on the west side of Lake Norman, so about 25 miles northwest of Charlotte. And we raise alpacas. And alpacas are raised for their fiber. They are fully domesticated animals. And they are a super sustainable livestock animal. They are considered actually the most sustainable livestock animal on the planet. And there are several reasons for that. Alpacas, they're very small. They weigh about 140 pounds. They have soft padded feet, so they do not tear up our pastures. Our pastures are lush green lawns. They do no damage on the ground. They nibble the grass, think lawnmower. They don't tear grass out by the root like many livestock animals do. And this keeps our soil healthy. And as we all know, soil health is extremely important to our planet. Alpacas also, this is kind of funny, but they actually also go to the bathroom in a communal area. And the reason I bring this up is because it keeps the farm very clean. It also allows us to collect their manure twice a day, every day, and we have compost. It's considered black gold is what we call it, because it is such an amazing soil and attracts so many worms. So our vegetable garden is 100% run on alpaca manure and sunshine. No chemicals needed. Alpaca, also they, because they're a fiber-bearing animal, so let me back up. There are two industries on the planet that are pretty detrimental to our environment: farming and making clothing, right? And we participate in both of those. So our farming practices, choosing a sustainable livestock animal was #1 important. We run our farm 100% on solar power. So we do a lot of sustainable farming practices on our farm. Now we're focusing on the clothing industry, the clothing side of our business. The clothing industry in and of itself creates 2 billion pounds of carbon emissions per year, which is more than all the maritime and flight industry combined. Retail clothing industry is very detrimental to the environment. So we're working on that side of our business to make sure that we're using sustainable products and that we are manufacturing products in a traceable manner. So alpaca fiber, once we harvest our fiber, the fiber is actually cleaned with hot water and no chemicals. No chemical is needed to process alpaca fiber into yarn. With sheep's wool Sheep have lanolin, which is like an oil on their fiber, and they have dander on their skin. So in order to process sheep's wool into yarn, a lot of chemicals are needed to strip those oils off of the fiber before you process it. Alpacas are hypoallergenic animals and also have no lanolin. No chemical is needed to process this. So another environmental factor in raising alpacas. That's a little crash course on some of the environmental impacts of alpaca farming. We have about 250 to 300,000 alpacas in the United States. There are 5 million alpacas on the planet. So it's still very much a niche industry. And we need more alpaca farmers in the world. So we are encouraging people that have interest to do that. I did want to point out too that we do have a national organization, which is what brought me here to you today. It's called the Alpaca Owners Association, and that is a national organization. And in North Carolina and South Carolina, we have a state organization as well.
So, Shelley, can you safely say then that you have a zero carbon footprint?
Not quite. I actually just posted a blog today for Earth Day about our goals and our imperfections and our things to overcome. So we are not completely carbon neutral at all. We have that goal. We're a small farm. We have 30 something alpacas at any given time. But being 100% solar does certainly help us go a long way. We are working with, we're working to try to get a climate beneficial fiber certification. So we're trying. We just put a blog post out on our website, goodkarmaranch.com, if you want to see what we're trying to accomplish. Things I want to learn about. I want to learn more about a B Corp. I want to learn more about carbon buybacks. So I have a lot of learning and educating to do of my own to keep us moving in the right direction.
Very good, very good. So approximately how much wool does your farm produce per year?
So we have 30 animals at any given time, between 30 and 40 animals, and each animal produces about 10 pounds of fiber per year. So what we do, because we're a small producer, we actually belong to an alpaca fiber cooperative. So it's like any co-op model. We're a member of the cooperative. We give them our fiber annually after harvest. They pool all of the fiber together from member farms across the country, and then economy of scale. That co-op can now approach the mill and say, I have 15,000 pounds of fiber, I want to make socks, or I have 15,000 pounds of fiber, I want to make gloves. It's less expensive and a better business model for a small farm like myself.
Amazing. So those are done. Those are traded on fair market value environments to make sure you get the right price and you reach an audience that has a need, and you could make whatever with them that way. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
correct.
Great stuff.
And we have the products available for sale in our stores, in our farm store on our website.
Oh, very good, very good. And please don't forget to feature your details in the chat room about your store, the website for it, and when do products come for purchase in the fall, I would imagine. Well, when it's harvest season.
Yeah, we actually have product available for full, all year long. We have an online store. We do farm tours. We do a lot of agritourism events here on our farm. So if any of you are in North Carolina, we love visitors. We do farm tours, alpaca yoga, you name it. We're always trying to draw and educate the public about alpacas and their environmental impact that they have. So I'll put a little link to our website if that's appropriate, and encourage you to check us out. And I'm happy to answer any alpaca related questions that you may have.
Well, I definitely want to get the group to do a tour, because we're getting out of, not getting out of COVID, but we're going to start traveling as a group. So we will make a trip to see the animals.
Oh, we would love that. We would love that. And we do cap the tours small so that, you'll feel safe and comfortable. And we do require masks. So you guys will be comfortable here.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed that presentation.
Thanks for the invite.
So I have Marcia Marcia has been with us all day. Thank you so much, Marcia. Are you able to share about lupus? Or you need a minute? Okay, I will bring Kim on. Kim is a poet, and we just met her. So Kim, introduce yourself and your poetry, and then I'll bring Marcia.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kim B. Miller. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I currently reside in Virginia. I've been here a while. I'm the poet laureate for Prince William County, Virginia. I'm the first African-American poet laureate for PwC. I'm a spoken word poet, and people say, well, what's the difference between a poet and a spoken word poet? So a poet basically reads their poem, and a spoken word poet is supposed to make you feel their poem. So that's pretty much the difference. So you know that difference, because it's key when you're looking for someone to come and you're like, wait a minute, what just happened there? So I'm going to do a poem and then talk to you briefly about haikus. And the question most poets get is, what is poetry? So rather than trying to define that every time I'm asked, I wrote a poem about it. Hopefully it'll give a better explanation for those of you who are curious, because poetry has bloomed, it's blossomed. It's not just roses are red, Dr. Seuss, it doesn't have to rhyme, it doesn't have to do any of those things. So anyway, here we go. Poetry is. Remember when you thought words had to be in a melody to sing to you? Poetry was a foreign flavor, an acquired taste. You thought poems like Roses Are Red made you well read. You didn't realize poetry has blossomed. I don't blame you. Poetry is often unrecognizable, spoken with passion and whispered, written on hearts in invisible ink. So how can I expect you to embrace the unseen? Seen in many forms, but grouped together as one. What is poetry? Poetry is unsolicited help. It holds us up when pain tries to erase our voice. It allows us to pour into emptiness and create peace. The ingredients in one poem can feed people who didn't even know they were hungry. Poets make feelings tangible. They script mountains into pebbles. Poetic verses feel like the wind caress every syllable. Some poems rhyme, no reason. They almost have a subtle fragrance, an undeniable scent that is unexpected but welcomed. This garden of poets is stunning and diverse. Each poet's pen bleeds an alternate personal truth. So don't judge your ink by its color. There are no rules. The lines in paper are just suggestions. Besides, a poet's words ascend from the limitation of paper. We make tears flow. We break stereotypes. Poems are medicinal, and poetry is freedom exhaling. Words are not owned, we all just borrow them. Poetry is rented word meant to make a permanent change. The next time you inhale the aroma of a poem, feel the words and the energy they provide. Embrace unconfinable art drawn with words. Poetry is expression flowed in feelings. It could be a moment or a lifetime of moments. What is poetry? Poetry is the first time you kiss words and words kissed you back. So,
Happy Earth Day.
Thank you for that.
thank you. So I'm going to
Thank
do
you, Kim.
some
Really
super short
appreciate your
poems.
poem.
They're
And
called
what,
haikus.
what was the title of that?
Poetry is.
Poetry is. Very
I'm
good.
going to
Very
do
good.
some really short poems called haikus, and I'll explain what a haiku is because the meaning has kind of changed. So a haiku is a really short poem, only 3 lines, 17 syllables total. It started in Japan only on Nature and Flowers. Other countries switched it up. It still has to be only 17 syllables, but it can be on any subject. It's really called a senryu, but we call it non-traditional haikus. So I'm gonna do a few of those for you. Haiku. Strong women are not unbreakable. We just know you ain't the hammer. Haiku. You cannot divide yourself into fractions to make someone else whole. Haiku. If you give them the key to your joy, when they leave, they can take the lock. Haiku. There's no such thing as the right time, but there is a time you make right. Haiku. They thought they broke you, but you're a glow stick. They just exposed your light. And I'll end with this one. Haiku. It's okay to be scared. Do it anyway. Scared people succeed too.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very, please post your details, your contacts in the chat so we'll know how to have you prepare or write something appropriate for a celebratory time or momentous time and that kind of thing. On this Earth Day, didn't ask you to do that, but everything you've given was a gift, and we appreciate it too.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Any comments to Kim about her poetry and haikus? Any comments, criticisms? All right, please.
Marcia is next. Marcia, are you able to join us? Marcia has been with us all morning. Thank you, Marcia. Marcia, you have to turn your icon for muting, unmute. Going once, going twice. Okay, she'll come back. Is there anybody, we're waiting for Planet Classroom. Is anybody here from Planet Classroom? Okay, not yet. Okay, good. Okay, so Maddie is here, and Maddie spoke at our last conference. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, Maddie, but just very quickly introduce us to your dolls and your books. And she's just such an amazing community leader as well, an inspiration to us. And then we'll try and get Marcy back. Yeah.
Oh, she's here. We got Marcy's here.
Yeah, but we're trying to get her sound going. Yeah.
Okay. I have her. She's on. Asked to unmute. That's not.
Okay.
She's not able to unmute.
Okay.
Okay.
Maddie?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Oh, good morning.
Let me see.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, it's
You're
still
right.
morning.
Right.
How's everybody? I just been enjoying the program. The poetry was marvelous, wonderful that I just heard.
Very good.
Claire wanted me to talk about my dolls and my inventions and all of that. I have 2,000 black dolls. And what I do with them is I put them on display, not very often because of the sheer bulk of them. And I use them to teach self-esteem. And if you go to my website at www.bright-us.org, you can see that's my website. And what I go to schools and churches and I try to teach self-esteem, because in talking to a lot of schools, I find out that a lot of children are not happy with themselves. So I show all kinds of shapes, sizes, colors. I talk about the handicap. I talk about the sick, the ill. I have recreation, everything that humans do. I have my dolls doing them. I have dolls on skates, in beds, in bassinets, roller skate. On bicycles. I have them showing where they've been hurt. Maybe they're missing a limb. Everything that a human being goes through, I depict those aspects through my dolls. And it's I'll tell you, the last time I had them displayed, all of them displayed, was in downtown Charleston, and it took me 4 days and 12 friends of mine working in shifts to get them set up. So that's how extensive it is. And we worked in shifts from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And what takes so long is when they having so many, you can't have them sitting out somewhere. So when you take them out of the box, you have to like press their garments out. You have to set them up with whatever thing that they're supposed to be sitting on or standing on or walking on. And so you have to set them up with their equipment. So that's what takes so long to set up. So,
well, we're hoping, Maddie, we're hoping that you will bring these dolls to us in November. We're going to be hosting our African American virtual conference in November. So I hope to see those dolls and learn more about them. But I have to stop you right now because I have Douglas and I don't want to lose Douglas. Douglas, are you around?
Okay.
Douglas from Lightcast. Douglas?
Yes, ma'am. I am here.
Okay. Douglas is one of the most busiest people on the planet. So he gave us a few minutes. So I want to make sure we hear what he has to say.
Yeah, well, perfect. Thank you for having me. My name is Douglas. I'm actually currently live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am actually the VP for Lightcast.com. Lightcast.com, actually headquartered out of Austria. We are a SaaS product that's it provides a one-click solution for digital media distribution. So if you're publishing content like live streaming or video on demand or audio on demand, when you upload it to Lightcast, it goes to every platform out there with one click, from the embedded players on your website to your own branded apps on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, your mobile apps, iOS and Android, all of your social media properties, your podcasts. So Lightcast is a custom app developer, actually the largest app developer out there, especially in the faith-based vertical. We do everybody from Dr. Charles Stanley, Joel Osteen, Joyce Myers, Creflo Dollar, all the way down to some of the smallest churches and ministries. So we're a custom app developer for all platforms, as well as the OVP, which is your online video platform. That's where you upload and manage all of your content, from your live streams to your thumbnail galleries to accessing all of your analytics. We're also a global tier 1 CDN, which is your content delivery network, very similar to your internet service provider at your house. We have about 350,000 servers in our server farm, and we do all the storage and transcoding. So essentially, it gives, if you're publishing content, it gives your viewers the ability to consume your content from every screen, the largest one in their living room to the ones in your pocket with one click. And then, of course, there's a lot of, I mean, this has become very popular, obviously, over the last couple of years with the, the environment that we live in now. People that publish on social media enjoy having their own apps, on Roku or Fire or Apple, because there's no censorship. social media, there's a lot of censoring going on, so they enjoy the freedom of not having their content censored. So, and then of course there's monetization products. We have a complete suite of monetization products, whether you want to do a subscription model to monetize it, or maybe you want to do pay-per-view events. Obviously, those are very popular over the last year or so as well. So yeah, so we actually own Cross TV, which is the largest Christian social media platform out there for faith-based community. It's like Facebook for Christians. So they have actually come up with a program. COVID impacted severely a lot of churches and ministries last year. So in an effort to give back, they have offered out, I think they gave out $55,000 grants for churches and ministries to help them with the development of their apps. So, but yeah, if there's an interest in, publishing your content, outside your website or social media, the next level, if you're trying to increase your viewership, multi-platform distribution is the way to do it. And that's having your content available on all platforms. I'm sure you're familiar with like Dr. Charles Stanley. If you've seen In Touch Ministries on Sunday morning on your TV, we're not just streaming him there. We're actually streaming him on every platform on the planet. If you went to your mobile or you went to your social media, you'd actually see the same stream everywhere. So it's a great opportunity to increase your footprint.
And we can't wait to get Brightside on to Lightcast, because it won't be very long when we have our own channel. Douglas, we now have 100 videos. So we're getting ready. We're getting warming.
Nice.
We're warming up to being able to launch. We actually have 53,000 viewers right now, which is amazing. And I think with Douglas, we can get to the millions watching. So Dr. John, you will be with us on this live TV that will be a much bigger platform. So Douglas, we're very excited to have you. And Douglas makes very fancy presentations, so I'll try and get him to do one soon. Thank you for your time.
Douglas Elton here.
Yes.
I really appreciate your insight and position with us here, and we're excited because we've gone from small portions now to our 53,000 viewership. And so we're right on the fringes of, so that for those of you who may not understand completely, crowdsourcing. Doug represents an organization that does crowdsourcing. So he can get your video, your presentation, your audience size from 1,000 people to 15 million in 10 minutes, like that. And so pretty big, pretty fast, and pretty concise with the audience that you're after. And it's an extreme tool. And so just want to share that with you. And if you have an interest in that way, we'd love to tell you more about it so that you can reach the numbers that you're after. And the way technology works today, your messaging could reach around the world. It could reach around the world. Yeah, just like that. And there are people who are looking for you right now. They're looking for you right now, your messaging, and they want, because you're, even our simple audience offer here. I mean, it's pretty, we've had a pretty concise, a information filled day, and we've had some great speakers and contributors, and those lettered and not lettered, but we're thankful for you all, and we want to make sure that we can spread the messaging that we're offering in the way that adds the greatest value over time. So good deal. Thank you so much, Douglas. I appreciate
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for letting me share.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
So so we're inches away to getting our broadcast on Douglas's platform, so we'll get to reach millions and millions of people. So before, this is a good time for us to introduce each other. We've got a lot of new people. If you're not shy, I know some of you all have said you're shy, so I'd love to see John Calter, Michael, VAI, if you all can show yourselves and introduce yourselves. If you're shy, then just put your name and contact in the chat. We'd love to connect with you and put you on our mailing list so we can see more of you in the future. For those of you who are watching online, this is the Brightside Global Trade TV broadcast. And if you buy Dr. John's books or Jerry Baker's products or Ken's book, The Cure, or Violet's poetry, we ask you to just snap a shot and put it in the chat so that we can know who you are and know that you like the video and that you're watching. We are on Brightside Global Trade, and we are a networking group. We have been doing this now since the pandemic, and we are bringing people closer to empower jobs and business, because we feel that in order to sustain this planet and our economy and our livelihood, it is very important that we have jobs and business. And if you have lost your job or any loss due to the pandemic, please join us, because when you network together, you meet people, you connect with people, and you learn how to just get out of a bad situation. And it's never too late to start a business. You can start a business for under $100 now. So there's no excuse. You could write a book. You could do a lot of things with your life. So don't feel despaired if you've lost your job. It might be a great time for you to transition to being an entrepreneur. So if you're watching, brightsideglobaltrade.org. My next speaker is Colonel Donna Four. And Colonel Donna Four has been with us from day one. When you talk about a commitment and loyalty, she's given it to us. We're very appreciative of what she brings. She's been our sponsor, friend, and ally. And Donna, I'm going to bring you in a little earlier because we have a lot of speakers coming up. And so Donna, tell us about what you do. And she's gone through 4 wars. She's worked in the Pentagon. We're extremely proud of her. We're honored that she's with us all the time. And thank you. We're just so blessed to have you.
Well, thanks, Claire. And I tell you, this has been an amazing morning between the presentations we've had. I definitely want to buy Dr. John's book about cancer. It's something that you worry about, and you fear that you're going to get it and how you'll react to it and how you'll deal with it. In fact, my late husband has a cousin now dealing with a pretty bad attack of cancer. And I want to get that book for her to encourage her and maybe get her to that next, part of the journey, because she's had a pretty rough go. If you've never been around someone who's dealing with cancer and going through chemo, I did that with my own mother, who unfortunately passed away from lung cancer. It's really a difficult journey for the person going through the journey. Excuse me. And the family and the friends that are trying to lift them up and sustain them while they're going through all their treatments, and they feel bad for a few days and they start to feel good again, and they go back to getting treatments again, and then the whole ugly cycle starts all over again. So it's really a difficult thing to go through. So thank you for writing, Dr. John, and your other books as well. I want to get all of them, and really encourage all of you to read Dr. John's materials. I have one of his books already, the one about diabetes, and it's an amazing book just chock full of a lot of information. Kim, your poetry, that really inspired me. I could listen to that for the rest of the year. I mean, I can't wait to get one of your poetry books and read more of your poetry. It was really it's fabulous. Ken, I enjoyed your presentation as well. Everything today was just amazing. I can't wait to try some of these ice cream. Maybe I can get somebody in Houston to buy me some, since I have family down there. But anyway, amazing day. I really enjoyed it. Claire did mention I was in the Pentagon. Just real quickly, I will mention I was in the Pentagon on the day of the attack. Obviously, I survived it, but I lost some very good colleagues and friends. So I take the day very seriously, obviously, because it has a big emotional attachment for me. So, in fact, I've been asked to speak locally to some veterans groups about my experiences that day. It was traumatic, but I learned a lot. You learn how resilient you are when you go through that kind of an attack and you lose people that are close to you. When all they did that day was just show up for work and were sitting at their desk, and in a flash, they were gone. So. And that sort of led me to why I chose where I'm at now. Once I retired from the military, I became a defense contractor, which a lot of military people do because it's the easiest thing to do. You stop being in the military and you put on a suit and you go back and start working for the military again as a civilian. But for years, I kind of wondered if there was something else I should do. I'd always been in the military, so I thought maybe there was something else I should be doing with my life. A recruiter called me from the company I currently work for. And to be frank, I put them off quite a bit because I didn't want to change jobs. And then they kept calling me and calling me and calling me. And I said, all right, well, maybe God's trying to get me to do something. So I went and had lunch with them. After 5 interviews, they finally asked me about my military career. And they said, tell us a little bit about your career. So I did. And they said, well, we noticed you were at the Pentagon. So I told them, you know, that a terrible day that I went through on 9/11. And they shared something with me. And this is why I took the job. And I'm very proud to be with the company I'm with. Okay. So the company I have joined and that I'm proud to represent is New York Life Insurance. On 9/11, as you know, when those 2 buildings unfortunately fell down in the middle of New York City, a lot of people in those buildings had life insurance with my company, quite a bit of them. And if you don't know this, I'll just tell you this. When someone passes away, the only way for you to get the proceeds from their life insurance is you have to produce a death certificate to the insurance company. Now, even on a good day, in most states, you're going to wait 2 to 4 weeks to get a death certificate. It's just the way it is. It takes time. It's a government process. What do you think the chances were after the biggest terrorist attack on US soil in New York City, that those families were going to get death certificates quickly? Plus, it was a terrorist attack. So they were not going to get death certificates quickly. It was going to take a lot of time to go through that process. So when the families would call my company, New York Life, to say, hey, my loved one went to that building, they didn't come home, I have to assume they're dead because that's where they worked. They said, don't worry about it. We're just going to pay your claim. They didn't ask for any documentation, no proof that the person even worked there, just took off the phone call and said, we're paying your claim. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of you. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting that you just kind of took their word for it. I mean, I said, it must have taken a really long time to process so many claims and go through that whole big process. So he asked me, what do you think? How long did it take? I said, I have no idea, maybe some months, you know? Well, they paid most of the claims in 1 week. 1 week. Other ones took about 2 weeks because there were some extenuating circumstances. And I was floored by that knowledge, that they had moved heaven and earth to take care of their clients. Maybe because I thought, what if I didn't make it out of the Pentagon that day? Excuse me. And my husband's calling some insurance company and saying, hey, Donna didn't come home. She was in that building. I think she's dead. Would you please pay her claims so that I can get on with my life? Right. So I took the job. I am so sorry, guys. I just lost my husband 15 months ago. So I get very emotional at times when I talk about him. So anyway, I'm going on. So I'm proud of my company. I'm proud of what I do. I'm really proud when I sit down with a family and I go through their needs and I help them craft a plan so that they, if that terrible day happens and they don't make it home, that there's money for the family to survive. They'll never get over the loss of their loved one, but at least I've given them a chance to provide some resources so that the family can continue if that terrible day occurs. So I want to thank you guys for listening to me, and I apologize for the tears, but it's just one of those things. We're humans, right? We're emotional. I'm sure Kim gets emotional at times when she writes her poetry, you know, because we're human beings. But anyway, love you guys and love the day, and thank you for letting me talk for a few minutes. God bless all of you.
Okay. Thank you, Donna. Thanks for your service, and thanks for where you are, and I appreciate. I mean, there's a lot going on, but I mean, in the in the grand economy, the Creator, doesn't waste anything, and everything there's a use for, even our experiences. And so, with that being said, these are very important times, and I hesitate to mention this, that even the great the COVID. I mean, if you want to look at it this way, all the people that died, all the people that passed away, you know, it brought us to the vaccine. It brought us to the vaccine. And unfortunately, they passed away, and their memories will live with us forever. Those of you who lost loved ones, a good friend of ours, she passed away, and she attended our wedding, and it was so funny because this is how I will remember her. I'll remember her because when Claire is my wife, and when we got married, um, Claire's father was celebrating with us. He was celebrating in a huge and bountiful way, and to the tune of Johnny Walker. And so she cared. She cared for him. She watched over him, and she protected us so that we could enjoy our day while he celebrated. And now, don't think. Now, her father was an amazing guy. He was brilliant. He was really brilliant. He retired, and I had great and incredible respect. And her friend cared for him and protected us, and we'll miss her. And she was a social butterfly. She did so many things for so many social groups, and she didn't bother to visit anybody. Didn't hesitate visiting anyone without mask or gloves. And unfortunately, she passed away because she captured the virus. So we'll remember her, and others like her will remember. And so all those that have passed away, you know, and I'll say this just as a reflection on this Earth Day. It's important that we remember, we reflect, and going forward, I'm going to ask you to do something for this Earth Day. I'm going to ask you to make a commitment. But before we get to that, you know, and I'll give you a list. We have one last speaker, and then a couple other contributors. But this Earth Day has special meaning, and I want it to have special meaning for you as you reflect, as you remember, because you've gone through a lot. I mean, we've gone through a lot. This virus was huge. It was huge. I mean, you know, it took its toll on us, and many people around the world are really still having a problem getting through to the other side of this virus. I mean, and they're demoralized. I mean, how do you get back on your feet? How do you get yourself back? How do you get your motivations back? How do you get your inspiration back? How do you get back to running? How do you get back to interacting without fear? How do you get to the point of socializing with people without fear or hesitation? How do you fix yourself? So, because you still have a lot, we all have lives to live, and we all have goals to conquer, ambitions to improve, and objectives to obtain. And so, and we cannot let the reflection or the history or the experience of what we've gone through interfere with getting all that God has destined you to get out of your life. And it's your life, and it was a gift, and you have to do something with it and be insightful, inspirational. And I pray that you find the strength and the courage without COVID hanging on your shoulders. I mean, you know, you've probably got enough weight, as it were, without the heavy weight of this manner. I mean, and I know they have the vaccines now, and some of us are fearful about that, and you know, whether to take it or not to take it. But you know, going forward, you have a lot of work to do. You have a lot of work to do, and so we want to be a part of the inspiration for that, and the majesty for what you do this Earth Day here. What I mean, it's a tremendous time, and there are people around the world that have many more challenges than we do. People around the world have many more. There's still the issue of food. There's still the issue of pharmaceuticals available. There's still the issue of clean water. There's still the issue of labor and work to take care and care for your families. There's still many, and labor. There's still the issue of work. And so let us be mindful of those and also be appreciative of where we are and what we'd like to see for ourselves and our own destiny. And thinking about that this Earth Day 2021. Last year we couldn't celebrate because of the virus, but so this is essentially the 50th anniversary. So with that being said, we're after Snake. She's gonna now. Snake has she has the option, the tremendous issue of how do we taste the ice cream virtually? I
Yeah.
don't know if technology can figure that out, but how can we taste this ice cream virtually? Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can answer that issue, but I'm gonna put it in Snahy's lab, and maybe she can come up with a deviated version of how we can taste it virtually. Okay, you have the floor, Snahy. Go ahead.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good
Maybe good
afternoon.
afternoon
Hello.
in some places. Um, I I don't know how we would get the ice cream. But
I
maybe
don't know, God. I'm just
next
joking
time.
with you.
No, it's fine. Maybe next time what we can do is we can maybe get these sent out prior to all our wonderful uh, panelists over here. And while we are having a conversation, we can maybe, do the tastings and have the ice cream while we are having this conversation. Maybe something along those
Well,
lines.
hold that thought because we are actually going to try to meet in person. So we're going to try to meet in person. So maybe we will have that. And meanwhile, I will make sure that everybody gets Snehi's link. So if you want to order the ice cream, you can, order it. And if, so we'll make sure that you have that information after the conference. Okay, Snehi, so take us around the world with all these fabulous flavors, and she's going to have to do a big job with this presentation to entice you to try the ice cream.
Okay, guys. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen if that's allowed, and I'm
Sure.
going
Yes.
to just get on the website actually, and take you guys through. I think the website would nothing can do justice. With all honesty, you guys have to try the product, uh, uh, but let me at least attempt to do it. So give me one sec. Um, there we go. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, gallivant. What gallivant means is someone who travels in seek of pleasure and joy. And the entire premise or the story behind this is my husband and I are avid travelers, and we absolutely, I think that is the one key thing that keeps our relationship stable is traveling together and building those memories. So, and during our travels, one of the most fun parts about our travel has been, experiencing those wonderful, uh, I guess, flavors and cuisines and the uniqueness behind those cultures, especially regarding food and dessert. And when I was asked or challenged that Snehi, what kind of flavors should we actually present our ice creams in? The first thing, which was very natural, what came to me was, what about all those things that we used to try when we were traveling? Why don't we try to present those in our ice creams? And that is precisely how this came up. So our story is pretty much,
Snehi,
yeah.
Snehi, we can't see your screen. We're seeing a chat.
Oh, you're seeing a chat. Sorry. Let me see.
Yeah.
Now?
Yes, now we can see it. Yes.
Sorry about